is going on? Back at Dave the Confused. Let's get into some creepy stuff. But just before we do that, let me just remind you that Confused Army, we have merch now. You should check it out at the store section of my YouTube channel at teespring.com. Basically some of the best t-shirts you'll ever see, so you should definitely go check them out. And if you have an idea for a t-shirt or design, leave it in the comments below. So, staircases in the forest, right? I think this is something that a lot of you have probably heard about. It really blew up last year. And I had a buddy send me a photo of a staircase in a forest, and he's like, have you heard of this? Have you seen this? And it rang a bell to me when I was like 12 or 13. I had a buddy named Derek, and we would basically like almost like live at each other's houses. Like our families were really close, and he lived on the other side of this like kind of small foresty area that was in the middle of our small town. And we would go through it all the time, no problem. And there was a random staircase there. We didn't think anything of it. I mean, like I said, we were like 11 or 12. It wasn't a big deal. I didn't think it was anything out of the ordinary. It was somebody built a staircase here. So we used to like sit on these staircases and play on them, and you know, like it wasn't anything crazy. It was just a staircase, right? And that was, I don't know, like 12 years ago, like 13, 14 years ago, right? So I didn't think anything of it until he brought this up to me, my buddy, and he's just like, have you heard about this? And so I looked it up, and automatically I found the Jesse V video of the staircase. And so I watched the video, and I just got super interested and intrigued by the whole phenomenon of why these staircases are in these forests. What do people know? And Jesse put out her video a year ago, just over a year ago, I believe. And so I did more searching and research on it, and I think there's some new things that have developed. And people have gone really deep into the history of their towns and everything to find reasons for these staircases. The weirdest thing about them is that there's nothing else around, right? There's no, like, if you're building a building and you want stairs to it, the stairs are not the first things you start with when building a building. So it's weird that they're just there. They're not attached to anything, and it's almost like they started a project and stopped. Something just stopped the project. Also, these staircases are not anywhere near essentially like a town or a civilization. They're miles into the woods. They're miles into the forest that it's kind of like, why are you even starting to build something there? Why is that a thing? Gabby, I'm trying to film a video. And you're in the video. You're getting in the video. I'm talking about staircases in the video. So it raises all these questions, like just the main question, why? Why was this even started? Why is this here? So here are some people's guesses and beliefs why these staircases exist. One of them is that it has something to do with a supernatural presence. There is the idea that somebody was starting to build something, and something in the wood, like an entity or a ghost or something worse, basically kiboshed the project and said, these are not your grounds to build on. There has been times where construction has come to a halt because there's been hauntings of the grounds that they're building on. So that is an idea that something was supposed to go there, a beginning of something, but supernatural forces didn't let it happen. Another belief is that these staircases lead to another dimension. Now, I don't know if there's a scientific way to prove this or anything like that, but it's weird how often you see that story come up where these staircases just lead to nowhere. Like there's nothing at the top of these staircases, and sometimes people believe that they see these staircases upside down, which is an indicator of another dimension. And I know you're thinking around now, like, what do you mean upside down? And literally, upside down. the top of the staircase is flipped to the bottom. And they see it usually at nighttime or something, and then they come back later on, like the next day, and it's back to normal. There's other people that say that these staircases move, as in they've seen them in one area of the woods, and then they see them again in a different area, which makes you believe that they're still being used for something, despite being covered in dirt and dust and brush that they look like they haven't been touched in decades. But they keep being moved. So they're still being used. But how do you move a brick staircase that's made embedded into the ground? Another thought that these staircases leaded to some sort of religious altar that built at the end of these staircases was some sort of faith-based religious structure, and something happened to that structure and the staircase was left. Now, I don't know as much as some people do about religious altars and, like satanic churches and things like that, but usually they do a lot of things deep in the woods. And one last thought to why these staircases could be there is that essentially they were used for executions at one point. So sometimes if the execution was a hanging or like a dropping on their neck or something like that, they would build these staircases in order to do these executions. Now, it makes sense that it would be deep in the woods to do that, because there's like public executions that are for like criminals and stuff, and then there's not so public executions that like old medieval time governments wouldn't want the townspeople to know about. So that could explain sometimes these staircases. I do remember finding a staircase when I was a kid and sitting on it and not feeling anything eerie or feeling anything crazy or different, but yeah, I've seen one of these staircases and I didn't have like a supernatural moment or a paranormal experience, but I've seen these staircases and I didn't know that it was a phenomenon until recently. So now I know about staircases in the woods, and it's pretty creepy, bro. So what do you think about these staircases? What's your honest belief on why these staircases are here? Leave in the comments below. Remember to subscribe, like, and comment, and leave your ghost stories in the comments, and your comment could end up in one of our later videos. Don't forget to check out our merch. Please check out our t-shirts. I think you would look great in them. I'm just saying. And go check out Jesse V's video on this subject, Stairways in the Woods. It's a great video. Well, I'm Dave, still confused. Thank you so much for tuning in, and at least our dogs aren't werewolves.